This is Dr. Saloni Bhasin, Assistant Professor Commerce from Indira Gandhi Rajkiya Mahila Mahavidyalaya, Raebareli, Uttar Pradesh. My topic for teacher presentation is indifference curve. In this, we'll have a brief understanding about ordinal utility, the concept of indifference curve, analysis and its properties. To begin with, utility. What is it? Utility is the want satisfying power of any commodity. Ordinal utility, developed by R.G.D. Allen and Professor Hicks. Ordinal utility is one which cannot be measured in numbers, but here we give ranks and preferences to different commodities. For example, Sam gets more satisfaction from pizza rather than burger. Now, what is indifference curve? Indifference curve, developed by Professor Hicks, is a tool of analysis to study consumer behavior. Indifference curve is a graphical representation of various combinations of two commodities that give same level of satisfaction to the consumer. Let's see this with the help of indifference schedule or indifference schedule or the tabular representation of the indifference curve. Here we'll take, suppose we take two commodities, apples and mangoes, and we see 5 combinations of the two commodities A, B, C, D and E. Quantity of apples, quantity of mangoes, and then we'll see the marginal rate of substitution. So we are taking 5 combinations. Now we'll see here marginal rate of substitution in the last column. What we are doing here is consumer is increasing the quantities of one commodity, that is apple, and he is sacrificing some units of mangoes so as to get the same level of satisfaction. That is why he is indifferent among these combinations. Now what is marginal rate of substitution? It is the marginal rate of substitution is the loss of one commodity, here we are having loss of mangoes, sacrifice of mangoes to gain of apples. So let's see the first combination. We have 1 quantity of apple, 12 quantities of mangoes. So in the second combination, combination B, consumer is giving up 4 units of mangoes, then he is giving up 3 units of mangoes, 2 units and 1 unit of mango. That means we see that marginal rate of substitution is diminishing, and this is the very assumption of indifference curve, that the slope of indifference curve, that is marginal rate of substitution, it is the rate at which one commodity is substituted for another, that keeps on diminishing as consumer is increasing his units of apples. Okay, let's see this with the help of graphical representation. Indifference curve, that what we call as indifference curve. So what we will do, here we'll take on x-axis, we take quantity of apples on x-axis and quantity of mangoes on y-axis, and we get a downward sloping indifference curve. This is our indifference curve, downward sloping. What we see is that this is one combination, this is another combination. As consumer is increasing his units of apple, he has to sacrifice some units of mangoes, but the rate at which this sacrifice takes place, this keeps on diminishing. This is the slope of indifference curve. Now let's see its assumptions. Assumptions, firstly, the consumer is rational. Consumer is rational, aims at maximizing his satisfaction. Indifference curve is based on the assumption of ordinal utility. That means utility can, here we can give ranks or preferences to different commodities. Then diminishing marginal rate of substitution. Consumer is ready to give up lesser and lesser units of commodity, that is mangoes, so as to get each additional unit of apples, where his satisfaction level remains the same. Then consumers' choices are consistency and transitivity. If consumer prefers combination commodity A over commodity B and commodity B over commodity C, then he'll always prefer commodity A over commodity C. Then non-satiety. Non-satiety means consumer hasn't yet reached the saturation point of any commodity. That is why he always wants more of any commodity over the lesser one. Let's see the properties of indifference curve. Properties: indifference curve, downward sloping from left to right. You can see indifference curve is downward sloping from left to right. Indifference curve is convex to origin, bending towards origin. You can see here, higher indifference curve shows higher level of satisfaction. This is one indifference curve. Any combination gives equal satisfaction. Higher, suppose this is indifference curve 2, this gives more satisfaction than indifference curve 1. And if suppose this is indifference curve 3, this gives higher satisfaction than indifference curve 2. Okay? No indifference curve, two indifference curve never intersect each other. Okay? So I hope that you are clear with this, and thank you.